What's up, friend? First of all, I'm gonna apologize. This video is gonna be a bit scuffed. I have no script, I haven't wrote anything down, so I'm kinda going in raw. The reason for this is because today, Friday the 12th of November, we received one of the biggest PvP patch on Global Lab and on the Korean server as well, that kinda changes, well, everything. Let me try to tackle all of the major changes that we got, both on the Korean server and on Global, and let's talk about why this is massive and game-changing. Let's start with grabs. If you have PvP'd in this game, you know that grabs are pretty strong. It is the strongest CC in the game. Not only it goes through frontals and super armors, but since a recent change, it also goes through iframes most of the time. Here they explain that initially the grabs were put in place to counter people sitting in block, which makes sense, obviously, but they are a bit too strong, and the meta revolving on you landing one grab and following up with your combo is just not very fun. Here they mention that they also think that not only grabs are the issue, but block are also a pretty big issue, or at least sitting in block. So they're planning on nerfing blocks, especially S blocking, compared to, for example, just standing still in block or super armor blocking. And they're also thinking of a way similar to the way Corsair works, where if your block breaks, you won't be able to regenerate it right away. To tackle grabs, let's go to the global patch, because it is a pretty big change. They nerfed the cooldown of every single grab in the game. So we went from 8 to 10 seconds, 7 seconds on some cases, to 15 to 20 seconds, 25 seconds, 35 seconds on the Berserker. You get the idea. Every single grab has been heavily nerfed. Probably the smallest one is the Corsair one, 15 to 17, but also the Ninja, 18 to 20 grab. This is massive, obviously. This is one of the biggest change we ever had in PvP in the longest time. This has big implications. A lot of grab classes, or let me rephrase it, a lot of players playing grab classes heavily rely on landing a grab to follow up with their combo. And this, you could argue, it's not very good on a competitive point of view. I'm saying competitive in bracket because, you know, as competitive as BDO can get, there's obviously some pretty big issues at the core of the game. But these and so much more actually are addressing these issues bit by bit. I don't think everything's gonna be perfect from now on, but I think we are headed to the right direction with these changes. So the issue I have with grabs, at least, obviously, as a Sork, I can argue, or you guys can argue, that we are not as vulnerable to grabs as other classes. And obviously, I don't have a grab, so I've always had to deal with not having a grab. But you cannot argue that grab isn't the easiest CC to use. Sure, it can be risky to use a grab, but it can be risky to use any single CC, especially any unprotected CC. And knowing when to use your CCs on the opponent's opening, it's big. It's where you could say knowledge and skill ceiling is. Counter argument, obviously, is that some classes can just rotate and sit in super armor, and grab is the only thing to counter that. Probably the biggest example could be, I guess, Succession Nova. But I think grabs are overall the biggest issue. And it's not like grabs completely disappear from the game. We still have grabs in the game. They just have a higher cooldown, so you can just, for example, Mystic or Striker spam it every 7 seconds. And another change to the grabs, which is massive, is that it's always gonna be unprotected during the cast and protected if you succeed. So there were some grabs, like for example the Succession Warrior one, probably the worst offender, where if you failed the animation, you still had super armor, you wouldn't get punished, and obviously not very healthy. It means that there's no counterplay to this. And I think this overall raises the skill ceiling to using a grab, because it means that, of course, there's a lot more risk to cast it, but you're rewarded more for landing it at the proper time. I don't really play grab classes, so for me, it's kind of hard to really see how this is going to impact the super armor change, how it's going to impact the gameplay of a lot of classes. But personally, as a Sorc, obviously, this patch is a Sorc heaven, by the way. As a Sorc, this is really good, because it means that every single time someone tries to grab me, I can iframe and counter that grab with a CC. And if they land the grab, it is what it is. But my first impression is that I love this change. Another big change is the knockback. I'm not gonna explain to you the CC system if you don't know it, but there's plenty of videos about that. But TLDR, knockback went from 1 to 0.7. And this is very good for Sorc, and I think for most classes, really. Knockback was the worst CC probably in the game, both because of desync and because it was the value of 1. And I think this is overall a good change. So back to the dev notes. They say they're gonna equalize the PV performance of every class. They're gonna try at least. Good luck with that, but that's not the point here. And the summon damage for each class. So they want to make so that damage scales with your pet. Right now, the pet damage is kind of fixed, which kind of allows classes like Striker to be really tanky and still do a lot of damage. With these, pets are going to be overall a lot stronger. We will see how much of an impact this will have in the game. It's kind of hard to say just by reading here. Don't have any big feeling about this, just curious how it's gonna be. I personally hope it's a nerf to the strikers, going heavy on the DP and being able to steal combo with the pets. The third topic is very, very interesting. It's a good idea, but I think in the actual application they miss the point. So they say that they want to not have as many protected CCs, or they don't want to have the protected CCs on the spammable skills, the very good one. Just an example, Torpedo for Mystic. But looking at the class changes, at least for the classes that I checked, they didn't really do a great job at it. For example, on Sorc, they removed knockdown on Dark Flame and they gave Shadow Eruption super armor. If the intention for them was to nerf protected CCs, on Sorc, that is the worst possible way of going for it. Darkflame KD is like one of the least used protected CCs in our kit, and Shadow Eruption is like our most used skill. So I don't know about that. Sorc is getting a bit too strong, and you know, it's good that a class that maybe wasn't as strong before is getting some love, but relax with the love on Sorc. I think we have enough. I'll leave in the comments the Global Lab patch so you guys can check out your own class, what was moved, what was changed, and make up your own opinion. But yeah, the idea is beautiful. Less protected CCs, yes, we love it. The application, maybe not so much so far. Another thing, reworking the ebuffs. TLDR, some ebuffs are too strong, some are too weak. They kind of want to rebalance them, you know, I'm okay with that. The fifth topic, resistances. You might know, I'm not a big fan of resistances. That's kind of an understatement. And waking up to this morning, I thought I just died and woke up in heaven. They nerfed resistance. They finally are doing something about the resistance. I can't stress this enough. This is for me massive. This completely reignited my passion for the game. I played Lost Ark beta recently and I was just having so much fun there, you know, playing a non-bullshit PvP system, or less bullshit PvP system. And, you know, just BDO PvP wasn't looking too hot, but with this for me is absolutely life-changing. Very quick TLDR. CC resistance, the way it works now is you can go endless amount of resistance. You can get, for example, 100% knockdown resistance. And if, let's say, I have 50% ignore resistance, I would only have a 50% chance of landing my CC, because it starts to count from the 100% instead of the current cap of 60%, which absolutely does not make any sense. I don't know how we went so long with this, but now they changed it to cap of 80%, so they increased the cap. But this ignore resistance starts at the cap. If someone has 100 and you have 50% CC penetration, you have 30% chance of getting ignored instead of 50 like before. Absolute game changer. It's not like the greatest nerf to CC resistance ever. I personally would have liked to have it removed, but not only it's a beautiful start, but it's also quite impactful. Now, with some napkin math, but you can just kind of go on Garmot and see it for yourself. If someone is running Adamantans, for example, and the usual CC resistance build, and you have 2 Jin KD penetration on your offhand, or even if you have, let's say, Kutum, which I'm not gonna really run on Sorg, but let's say you have Kutum, you have around 30% chance of getting resisted compared to 60% before. And this is obviously big, not only because, of course, it's a buff to CC penetration, but because I think it might discourage players to go for CC resistance as a viable option for a build, which will increase even more so your chances of not getting resisted, which is not a good game mechanic. Everyone hates it. I don't know what to say. Just thank you, PA, for addressing this, and hopefully this makes the game a lot more fun and a lot more fair for everyone. Now, checking Global Lab real quick, there is a lot, as you can see. There is a lot of changes. I think every single class got some changes to it. I know Tamers are not super happy. I've actually heard from Tim, the godlike Tamer on EU, that he absolutely hates all of these changes because they make the class a lot less fun to play. So hopefully PA gets some good feedback and they can address the Tamer changes. I'm not gonna go over every single class. As I said, link is gonna be in the comments and you guys can check it for yourself. Let's go on the best class in the game. And Sork got massive buffs. PA, stop. Stop buffing Sork. We are gonna be too broken. It's too much. We were already really strong on global when CC resistances were a thing and grabs were as strong as they were. In a ward where they're gonna nerf blocking, they're gonna nerf grabs, they're gonna nerf CC resistance, Sork is gonna be too strong. You need to relax. I don't want to have a Tamer treatment where the class becomes broken and then they nerf it so hard that it's just not fun to play, or they nerf it in a way where it's not fun to play, like for example Sage. Please, Sork is gonna be incredibly strong. We don't need a say on Shadow Eruption. This is already one of our best skills. We don't need more damage. Succession needs more love, okay? The changes to Succession, which is most of these changes, beautiful. But on Awakening, just chill a bit, okay? Like, it's getting a bit too much. We want to have fun, not to be super broken flavor of the month. Plenty of changes on every single class. As I said, go check it out and go give your feedback if you main one of these classes. Some sneak peek of the card game that they announced at the last ball. But yeah, overall, this is the massive changes today that will probably make some big waves into the PvP scene of this game. For the best, I think, I hope. Overall, it's looking really good. It's giving me a lot of faith. It looked to me that a lot of the changes they were doing to the game, especially in Node War, were kind of random. It almost seemed like they didn't really know what they were doing or just throwing random changes here and there. But most of the things here, I really like. I really like the idea. I really like the fact that they are so open about this. Look at this. This is an entire page, also gonna link it, where they explain their point of view on why they're doing changes and when they're doing things. It's not just a few lines. They talk about it. And this is beautiful. This is very welcomed. Congratulations to, everyone working at PA for doing this. I think you guys are amazing for doing this, and you have my love, you have my passion for the game, and hopefully we can make the game better together. Kisses.